a special episode by a woman who was affected directly by Kamala Harris's truancy law in California. I know we hear a lot about what's going on with that. We uh we made our own estimations. Some people like to pass blame and say, well, maybe if they kids was going to school, this would not have happened and things of that nature. Well, like I said today, we have a victim, and I'm calling her a victim of Kamala's truancy law, and her name is Cheree Peoples. How you doing today, Miss Peoples?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am fine. First and foremost, thanks for joining us today on the show to tell your story. I've seen your story on the internet. It's very heartbreaking, to hear your story about what was going
Thank
on.
you
And
for having me.
yeah,
Thank you for having me. I'm really, really excited.
no problem. And I reached out to you because I wanted to hear more of your story and I wanted to know how can I help you. But before we get into that, I want to touch on tell the people who you are, where you from, and let's start there. And what got you into this mess? We go work through all of that.
Okay, well, my name is Cheree Peoples. It looked like Cherie, but it's actually pronounced Cheree. I am originally from Los Angeles, California. I currently reside in Orange County. This has been a tremendous journey for me when I got arrested for truancy under Kamala Harris Truancy Law back in 2013.
Now, 2013, you got arrested for that law. Now, I guess the law was supposed to hold parents responsible for when their kids didn't go to school. Now, you mentioned that you was arrested. Why were you arrested specifically, and what was going on with your child to where she couldn't go to school?
Well, the way the state of California and the attorney general at the time, which was Kamala Harris, felt that parents wasn't making a good effort to get their child to school. And the state of California was under an economic situation where we were losing a lot of money due to truancy and other situations. But she took truancy as her foundation to put in laws in place, criminal laws. So let me make that clear. It's a criminal law for parents to hold their child out of school for 10% of the school year. And that will make it a criminal offense. And the school can bring charges upon the parent for failing to supervise a child's school attendance.
Now, you mentioned that she deputized the school to basically make the decision on if a parent should get arrested or not. Um, Tell us why your daughter didn't go to school. Why was she missing
My
from
daughter,
class so much?
she was missing class because she was sick. She was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia at 2 weeks old. So basically at birth, she always endured extreme pain crisis. She had a vascular necrosis, and just trying to figure out how to care for my chronically ill child has always been challenging, to say the least.
So you mentioned that she was sick. That's why she didn't go to school. Did the school themselves know the status of your daughter and why she wasn't going to school, or did they just see the absences and say, well, she must be a truant?
No, well, the school was very aware. I have to have meetings every year because my daughter is documented with her illness of sickle cell since birth. Everything is documented. We are required to have what they call a 504 plan. So most parents are encouraged to work with the school districts, to work with the school to create a 504 plan just for that particular student. With my daughter, her 504 plan was because of her absences and to be accommodated in a general classroom setting. That is very, very important because a 504 plan is totally different than an IEP. A 504 plan is a reasonable accommodation plan to allow your child to stay in a general classroom setting. So those accommodations can be, for example, having water at your desk, being able to leave a few minutes early from class to change periods, for example. You may need to be excused to go to the bathroom numerous times throughout the day so the teacher cannot punish that student for going to the bathroom. It allows those accommodations outside of a learning disability to help the student stay in the classroom.
Mm. So why did you get arrested if the school knew of all of this information?
I believe they were making an example out of me. Maybe they didn't believe the documentation. Maybe they didn't believe that she had sickle cell. I don't know per se why they did what they did. I just know it took me 2.5 years of fighting a criminal court case, my daughter having a stroke while I was fighting my case, trying to take care of my newborn at the time, postpartum, dealing with all of that, trying to ensure that she still get an education, even when she was in the hospital. So she even had hospital instruction that the district attorney will not accept, or the school district did not want to account those attendance because they said it was out of their district. So even though her attendance was being counted while she was inpatient, the district that she was enrolled in, as far as being home with me, did not want to count that attendance. So it was a fight even during, before, and after my trial to ensure that all documents were being processed correctly, whether it was coming from the doctors and the hospital, making sure that the schools talked to the doctors, and making sure that the doctors were putting the information in the correct place, where if the school was requesting that they will be able to get the correct information. So for whatever reason, depending on when I was calling was depending on what part of the system it was being placed in. And it wasn't until I was going through my trial that I was aware that there were different sides of the system in which the doctors or nurses can pull information from. So it's a very, very complicated system that I had to experience in order for me to make sure that my daughter was getting the education that she deserves.
Now you mentioned while you was going through this whole entire situation that your daughter um caught a stroke. Um, do you feel like the stroke was contributed because of what you was going through legally?
Yes, my daughter actually saw me being prepped walk. At the time, it was on the news. So out here in California, the news cameras at her school. She was wondering why they were there. When I came home from the jail that day, I immediately, of course, took a shower. I didn't let her hug me, so we didn't really have the normal one-on-one time that we normally do when she came home from school. And I believe during that time, in the 4 or 5 o'clock news hour, she actually saw me on TV and was devastated. So for her to experience seeing me being prepped, walked out like that, and knowing, and I don't think she fully understood, but emotionally, she held herself responsible because of it. So, yes, I truly feel that her experiencing that, seeing me go through as much as I went through for those 2.5 years, put a strain between us two because I was always there for her at the hospital. I was always here, and now we were homeless. We lost our home, and now I'm back and forth to court. She's in the hospital. I had to leave her there while I go to court. It was times where she had to go to court with me, and I'm very, very protective of her. And that was very, very devastating to know that I was going through criminal court behind something she has no, absolute no control over, especially as a young child. I'm not speaking from the aspect of a teenager or an adult. She was at the time really, really learning about what she had. She was about 10 or
Mm.
11 years old at the time of my arrest. So just imagine being 10, 11 years old, having a chronic illness with no cure, one of the oldest hereditary diseases in the world, and you're learning it yourself at that age. So I don't think she truly understood the impact that stress will have on her illness.
Mm. And how about, do you have other children?
I do. I have a son. He
And
was 3 months old at the time of my arrest.
how did How did it affect him?
It affected him tremendously, especially our bonding time as far as him, me and him when he was a baby. I feel like it delayed him. I feel that his speech was delayed. I felt like he stayed my little baby a little bit longer than what he needed to be because I wasn't there. I was physically there, but mentally, physically, sometimes it took me away. So I can see now that he's a little older and I'm trending again and he's seeing mommy's working and he's seeing things on TV and like, Mom, you went to jail. And I can see the anger in him and how he's trying to process me going to jail. So, yes, having him in therapy, trying to help him with his mental health because, of course, he's a young Black little boy, and I want him to be able to move forward in a healthy way and not be angry at, the police and want to act out. And now I'm dealing with behavior issues with him based off of what occurred with me. So I'm very aware and cautious and really protective over him and her.
Yeah. And as far as like what the truancy law that Kamala instituted, um, do you think that it was made to target a certain group of people, or do you feel like she just did it because she can do it?
I feel like this law targets a particular group of people, and that's just because we can't afford the $2,500 in fines, number one. That's going to take money away from food, rent, lights, gas, all of those things. And then we're talking about a whole year in jail or whatever time that they want us to serve, which now is putting our children in jeopardy, that we're going to be losing our children to the system. So it's a multitude, it's a ripple effect of so many things. So not just the year in jail are the fines, but the fact now you have to go to court. So that's time away from your job, time away from your kids. And we all know how much time we can take away for PTO time. We don't get a lot of that. We don't have a lot of vacation time. What if you are a new employee? You have no time. So it makes it very, very difficult because your back is behind the wall. You're going to want to keep your job. You're going to end up pleading at the end of the day, which still can hinder you because most people who have money, they're going to pay for it. Maybe they can pay for a doctor's note. Maybe they have all the connects. We don't. We have to make sure everything is in place. And when you do get caught up, it takes a very long time to go through the system. It took me 2.5 years with having documents, federal documents that they should have submitted to the district attorney's office if they did, if they didn't. But it was not mentioned in anything that my daughter had sickle cell. So it just made it look like she was a normal kid with no 504 plan. So they withheld information from the district attorney's office. It's like, why? When
Now,
all I'm trying to do is ensure my daughter's education and her health.
what's a 504 plan exactly?
A 504 plan is a reasonable accommodation plan which basically secures your rights to be in a regular classroom setting with accommodations. It's part of the 504 rehabilitation law. So, therefore, you cannot be discriminated against based off your disability in a school setting. So, any school that receives federal funding is supposed to abide by the 504.
Got it. And you mentioned earlier that this happened in 2013. It's now 2024, and you provided all the documents to basically, clear yourself. Do you still have a criminal record today?
I do. I still have a arrest record for that. It has not been expunged.
Did you ever try to reach out to Kamala about, basically your wrongful arrest?
Yes, I did. I haven't been able to get any response from anybody. It's been very difficult um, to network and figure out what attorneys is willing to take my case because it has been a trial and error type situation. It's been very, very hard. I feel like I've been blackmailed low key because it's very hard.
How did this arrest affect your employment at the time and even today?
At the time, I lost my job. I was unable to work. When I went to try to find another job, they told me they couldn't hire me because I was currently in trial. So I was at risk and they would not hire me. I still have to be able to take care of my daughter due to her stroke. So I cannot work a normal full-time job because she required almost 24-hour care for the most part. So I need to be available for her due to her stroke and the complications of her sickle cell. So me being arrested, knowing I was on a track of being a nurse and going to nursing school, it literally turned all of that around. I had to take off so much time from school to fight my case that I had to figure out something new.
So unlike Kamala, you didn't have the ability to go to a HBCU and further your life, further your career. You decided to go to school for nursing, and this whole entire thing happened to you and basically derailed your life because you had a plan or whatever the case is. Now, and I seen an interview with Kamala, and she made a statement saying that, well, it was only 20 people that got arrested for the truancy law. And I feel that if she knew the number of people that have been arrested by the truancy law, she probably know the circumstances of the cases of why they were arrested. Do you feel that Kamala Harris owes you an apology?
Yes, I do. I feel that not only do she owes an apology, but she also owes California a right to reverse this law to figure out a way for it to be decriminalized because no parent should be criminalized. We do need things in place. We need services. We need help for the parent or for the child. Maybe the parent is going through some things. Maybe the child is being bullied in school and the parent is trying to figure it out. Maybe the child is complaining of migraines and the parent is taking the child to the doctor and they're not understanding why the child is still having migraines. And a year later, come to find out they have leukemia. But in between time, trying to figure it out, the child is missing school. The parent is getting letters. They are being threatened during that process. Us as parents, while we're advocating for our children during those times, we need to have protection so we can be protected while we're advocating, trying to figure it out. Because sometimes the doctors don't have answers right away. There are a lot of things that go underdiagnosed or they miss totally. And then a year, 6 months later, they come back and say, oh, the child is diagnosed with this. But what happens when you don't have a diagnosis, but you're dealing with stuff and issues with your child and you're taking them to the doctor, you're trying to figure it out, you're missing work, they're missing school, and it's a back and forth thing. Us as parents need protection, and that's what I'm working towards. It's in order to provide protection while we're advocating for our children. We need that as parents.
Do you think that Kamala's decision was because she don't have children of her own?
Yes, partly. I feel that partly it was that she could not identify how it would feel. So the identification as being a parent, the connection when you birth a child, it's like no other. So when you don't have that kind of connection, it can make a difference in the type of policy that you put in place. I don't think she truly understand the effects that it can have, especially on low income parents like myself that were already struggling. We're trying to become self sufficient. We want the programs to work for us also, just as well as for our kids. So it's very hurtful to be criminalized for something when all you're trying to do is have a better life, have the American dream. That's what we all are striving for. We all want that picket fence and a house and I come from a two-parent household. I come from where my dad worked and he did his 9 to 5. We had a home, two cars. So to be framed as my daughter is going to be a drug dealer or she's going to be a gang member and she's a truly sick kid, to make me feel like I'm an inadequate parent when I'm under strict laws, not to say just laws, but I'm still being watched by her doctors. They can still report me to children's supportive services if I don't take her to the doctor. They can still report me if I'm not giving her medications. They can still report me regardless. So I'm under watch, whether it's her doctors, educational wise. So as a parent, we have to be able, like I said, be protected while we're advocating for our children and not be criminalized for it, because it's not, I'm not a criminal just because I want the best health care for my daughter. I'm not a criminal just because I want my daughter to get an education. I'm not a criminal. Why criminalize me for that? Why? That's very hurtful to be criminalized for something that I definitely didn't ask my daughter to have sickle cell anemia, to watch her crawl over the floor, to know that I couldn't touch her, to know that I couldn't hold her. I can't when she's in crisis because my touch caused her more pain. So
Mm,
when you have a child that is in so much pain that you can't even hold and hug and kiss because your kiss is hurt,
mm,
and to be criminalized for that, that hurts me because I had to go through a whole relearn process to say, okay, what are you going to do with your life now, Cheree? Are you going to still pursue the nursing and have to start all over because I timed out after 2.5 years of putting my life on hold
mm,
to have to clear my name and have to figure out a whole new career path for myself, to say it's another way that you can do it, Cheree, to still live in Orange County and fight my case, to step out on faith and to know that I did no wrong, to know that they wanted me to plead guilty with no contest.
mm.
That was hurtful. Like, you still want me to plead guilty and I'm giving you documents? What was the purpose behind that? I pay my taxes. I want to have the American dream and not to be criminalized, because if I'm criminalized, I can't take care of my daughter financially because I cannot have a criminal record as a nurse. You
Uh,
have to, even before nursing school, they want you to run your background check to get into nursing school. They want to know what's on your background. So as I'm going through nursing school trying to get arrested while I'm applying for nursing school, that's not going to work. That
mm.
is not going to work. And that's what happened. So it derailed me. It hurt. But at the same time, I'm very blessed and thankful that I'll be able to educate others and be able to make a difference and bring awareness to the situation so we can fix it and no other parent can end up like me.
Do you feel like Kamala robbed you of the American dream because you were on the path to success the way that you're describing it? Do you feel like she robbed you of the American dream?
Yes, I sacrificed a lot. My goal was to become self sufficient. That was my goal, to utilize the programs the best I can be. When I was in college, I was part of the Honor Roll Society. I was using, the government assistance programs to help me through my education. I was in the newsletters. I was moving forward. I wanted to get a Habitat for Humanity home. I had dreams. That was part of my dream, to get a Habitat for Humanity home. Like, because I'm low income, I was um, trying to find the best way possible to live that dream, because I saw it with my mom and dad.
Mm,
And that was the best thing, to have vacations and to be able to travel and be able to tell those stories as we drove across the whole entire United States. Like, we drove from California to Florida, like through the state of Texas. And
mm,
that was the experience that I wanted to give my children, not the experience of going to jail, not for my son to see me and hear that his mom went to jail, even when he was 3 months old, for something that I really had no control over. My daughter doesn't have control over. And if I can fix it, I will take it away. I will take all of sickle cell away, because these kids suffer. They suffer in so many different ways. My daughter have a vascular necrosis, which is basically her bones are dying. She needs a full hip replacement. She already had a stroke. We have to watch out for another one. She gets blood transfusions every 3 weeks. So if you guys know of a blood If you guys are doing a blood donations and stuff like that, continue, because my daughter is one who receives donor blood every 3 weeks. So it's very important that we raise awareness, not just about this law, not just about the law, but also regarding sickle cell, because there is no cure.
Hmm.
We were blessed to find out that they somewhat have a cure with stem research, but it's very expensive and it's very new. So we're going to see how that works. I'm very excited about the new things that came out for sickle cell, but again, it's one of the oldest hereditary conditions in the world that doesn't really have a cure.
It's ironic that when your story started picking up steam on the internet, Kamala released some policy that said that she wants to study sickle cell. Do you think that's a coincidence, or do you think that's like her trying to cover up for your exact story?
It could be both. It's coincidental because I'm getting traction, so she feel like she needs to do something on the health side. Would be even better if she put something in as far as a provision for parents and to make a federal law to where no parent can be prosecuted or held criminally responsible, put in some provisions in place for mental health, for behavioral health, for medical health, and not just one, all of the above, because they all deserve their special place. Because not all the time is somebody dealing with a medical issue. Not all the time is somebody being a behavioral or a learning disability. So mental health is a very big component of this, and we need to make sure that everybody is covered under that umbrella.
Yeah. Now, to me, it seems as if you're not asking for much. It feels like a simple apology would have made all of this go away. And what I've noticed, especially, we're going to get into the picture in a second. Um, People think that um it's an anti-Kamala push going on, and I mean, you have every right to be upset at her, but is there still a part of you where you probably would still vote for her, or no?
I don't know how to answer that, but there's a part of me that would love to work with her regarding this. Now, as far as my vote is one thing, but when it comes to joint and fixing a wrong is what I'm about. You know what I mean? And this is completely was wrong. So for me, it's let's come together and let's fix it. Let's make this wrong or right, because none of this is right at all. So as far as my vote is concerned, is one thing, but I am a loving person. I come from a loving standpoint. My goal in this is to bring awareness. I'm not a tear you person down type person, but I have to bring awareness to this. And it wasn't right. It wasn't fair, not just to me, but anybody else who is dealing with truancy or dealing with a condition with their child. My daughter, it wasn't fair to my son. It's just across the board, just was not fair. But would I be willing to work and fix it? Of course, I'll be more than willing. That was my goal, was to be able to work with her.
Are you a Trump supporter?
Am I a Trump supporter?
Yeah,
I support Trump. I support a lot of people, but I support.
because would people think that this is some type of ploy to help Trump uh get elected? Um, Now I want to put the picture on the screen because this triggered a whole bunch of people when I put this picture on the screen. I just want to put it on the screen real quick. So Cheree and I had the opportunity to go down to a Trump rally in Duluth, Georgia, and we end up meeting Trump and basically filling him in with what was going on. And come to find out, I didn't even know that Trump had retweeted your story on Truth Social a couple of times. Um, the time when I reached out to you, I did not know that Bobby had contacted you and did a mini interview with you, and I'm talking about Bobby, I'm talking about RFK Jr. Um, and they seem to be supportive of your plight. Do are you, let's just say this: are you connecting with Trump to um basically sugar honey iced tea on Kamala?
I am using the vessel that God gave me. And at the end of the day, this is the vessel that God gave me. And I prayed on it a lot. It has been a transformative thing that I have been through. But when God gives you a mission, when He gives you purpose, you just never know how that purpose may look like. I had to pray extremely hard. I had to come with terms with self and to really understand what this whole entire thing is about. Because for me, it's not political at all. I am not a political person, but God gave me a platform. He gave me an opportunity. He gave me an opportunity to tell my story, my daughter's story, to understand the implications that happened to me during that time. So I'm just thankful for the opportunity that God has given me and the vessel in which He gave to me. I couldn't choose that. That was all God. All of this is all God and me just being a faithful listener, being faithful to Him, and just understanding that again, I am not political, but it is a way for me to tell the story on what happened to me and be able to make change, be able to make effective change, and be able to educate because God said I was a teacher. I need to teach, I need to educate so people can understand hey, get your 504, work on your IEP, make sure you're protected because these are safeguards and your rights, your student rights to ensure that your accommodations.
Your sound is going out a little bit. It went out and went out. I don't know what's up with your sound. Yeah, I don't know how it dropped out that quick. Yeah, it dropped out. Hold on. Is it green on your is it green on your Zoom?
Let me
There you
see.
go. There
Yeah,
you
it's
go. There
green.
there you go. There you go.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
so not to give away a lot of stuff, but when I told Trump uh the issue and who you were, do you want to share with us what Trump said? Share with the people what Trump said?
we can share if you would like. You
I,
can
I,
go
I
ahead and
want you
share.
to I want you to say what he said.
That he want to fix it. That's what he said. He said he want to fix it.
Yeah. Do you believe him?
I do. I do. I do believe him. The fact that I know that he's aligned with JFK and they all about making America healthy
RFK,
again.
RFK, RFK,
I'm sorry, RFK.
RFK.
My apologies. I go through a lot of K's here lately, but with RFK being aligned with making America healthy again, I think, yes, we will be moving in the right direction, which why I say God gave me the vessel, and this is the vessel that he gave me, which aligned with, health and wellness, mental health. So, yeah, I think it will make a big change, make a big difference.
If Kamala was to call you today and apologize and ask you how can she make it better, would you take her up on her offer?
Um, would I take her up on her offer to see? I mean, I have to see how what she will do. Not to say would I trust her and believe her until the bread is in the pudding. But for the most part, regardless of what side it may be on, the goal is to make a change, to make a difference in the law. So I will pray that she will do the right thing. But if not, I will make sure somebody else will.
Mm, mm. And you feel that person that would make that change is the person who told you they're going to make it better, which is Trump.
Yes, yes, they were willing to listen. They were willing to give me a platform. They have been willing to share my story. I have gotten way more responses than I ever had from the Democratic Party. Again, it has been a life changing situation. It's something I prayed on dearly every single day. And God gave me the vessel. So this is the vessel I have to use.
Got it. Um, I mean, your story. I mean, I felt that it definitely should be out there. Holding, you know, uh, that law, how it changed people's lives, and knowing who it was going to affect more than others. Definitely Black women, right? Um, you know, let me ask you a question. Do you cook good?
I think I cook fairly well.
Do you make your collard greens in the bathtub?
Oh, heck no. Who does that? Oh,
Your
my bad. I'm sorry.
your 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 girl, she does that.
I don't know. That is disgusting. Like, ugh.
Who the hell makes collard greens in the bathtub? Like, what kind of craziness is that? I mean, I think that that's worse than when who pulled out the hot sauce out their bag? Was that Hillary?
I believe so.
Like, what are we talking about here? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, even for me, I feel like the Democratic Party is not what we think it is. It's not who my grandparents was a part of, my great grandparents was a part of. And I also feel like that about the Republican Party also. That they not really for the people either, but for me it hits harder when the wolf is in the sheep's clothing. I respect the wolf that I see. To me, the Democrats represent the wolves that is in sheep's clothing right now. And they not for the common one of us, because when Kamala was putting together these laws, she was a Democrat. She's been a Democrat her whole life, right? And it's the Democrats, it seems as if they are doing the things to hurt us. And when they make these mistakes, they're not trying to walk it back. They're not trying to do, this and that. People, oh, how can you stand next to Trump, the Central Park Five, and this and that? When Tawana Brawley said that some whole bunch of white guys did this stuff to her, and Al Sharpton went on a tangent, nobody asked him to apologize, right? And I'm not trying to make an excuse for Trump, but let's call it what it is. You know what I'm saying? We have to call it, what it is. And Kamala's truancy law definitely affected people when she held people in jail so they could have free labor of prisoners. People is forgetting the things that they have done. And none of these politicians, what I don't like is that we get into an argument harder than what the politicians get into an argument for. I supported Kamala when she said that Joe Biden is a racist. I totally believe that Joe Biden is a racist. When she was running in 2019, she said Joe Biden is a racist. I said, look at this woman calling Joe Biden out. Then as soon as that man said, come be my vice president, all that went out the window. These people have no moral compass. They doing what's best for them. That's all they care about. They doing what's best for them. I look at her as being dishonest. We knew for at least 2 years that Joe Biden was losing his faculties. They never wanted to call him out on it because they never wanted RFK to have a fair primary. They waited to the last minute, did the switcheroo, no primary for Kamala. Let's bring things into perspective. Last election, when she was running, she got less than 1% of the vote. She dropped out. So what the hell did she do so special between then and now to where she's the best Democrat to put on a ticket to run against Donald Trump? You trying to tell me she's better than Bernie Sanders? Is this what these people are telling me? You trying to tell me that she's the best Democrat to put on the ticket? I think that people are playing identity politics, they playing gender politics to get her into the White House. Then you had Obama going around lecturing black people and say, hey, I don't see the brothers standing up for her like y'all did for me. Well, newsflash, my man, you dropped the ball with the brothers. You was our litmus test. And you did not stand up for us like you should have. We had police killings. You never went out there and said for a matter of factly that we have an issue here. There's something wrong in this country. You never tried to pass a law. You never tried to speak about it. You never went against the grain, my man. And you want to know why black men is not supporting Kamala Harris? Look no further than yourself. Right? Now, the Democrats, y'all had an opportunity to clear up the situation with Miss Peoples. She reached out to y'all dropped the ball. I reached out to y'all dropped the ball. RFK Jr. reached out to y'all didn't want nothing to do with him. What is the people to do? It ain't our fault that Trump has a listening ear and at least want to hear what's going on. To me, that's admirable. He wants to listen to what's going on. And I think that that's all that you're trying to get. You want people to listen to your story so it won't happen. Let me ask you, is this law still on the books?
From what I know recently that Governor Newsom put in some provisions regarding truancy. So I haven't been able to do some deep dive research into it, but there are 4 bills that got passed just recently when I think the other bills that didn't get passed, but he's supposed to pass 4 bills that supposed to affect it. So my goal was to do some deep dive research to figure out if the criminal aspect is still in place. I'm not for sure, but I do know that he did sign 4 different bills recently.
We got to try to find a way to get your record expunged, your arrest record, whatever it may be. We have to find a way to try to get that happen. Kamala, it's not too late. You could do the right thing. You could call Gavin Newsom. You could tell Gavin Newsom to put the order in to get this rectified. You could sit down with our sister. She's not trying. She's not MAGA. We like stuff from both sides. Everything is not an absolute zero. You could reach out to the sister and you could change this all around if you decide to. But, I feel that you can't relate because you never had kids of your own. You don't know that bond. You don't know what it's like. It's different from being a step parent to actually birthing and seeing and knowing that's you and your likeness and that form of stuff. And I don't think that Miss Peoples want to be your enemy, want to go against you. I'm quite sure she want to see you do good. So what I would say is that we implore you to do the right thing. Make this right. Make this right before you get elected. Make this right before Trump see this video and decide to put Miss Peoples on a rally stage or something like that. And then it'd really be out of control. Find a way to make it right. You claim that you're black. You love your people. You love your black people. Well, you got a black woman right here, right now, asking for you to make something right that you wronged. You wronged it. Not Trump, not 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 no Republicans, not nobody else but you. You wronged Miss Peoples and you have the opportunity to turn this around, make it right. And we want to extend that offer to you before Trump does something crazy and put Miss Peoples on stage and let her tell her story, kicking dirt on you about how your law don't care about black women. What you say about that, Cheree?
I do agree because that's just, I work from that standpoint. I work from love. I came a long way from being extremely, extremely angry with the situation. But again, as a woman, as a Black woman, of course, I'm happy to see somebody in place. I want it to be the right person in place, though, to make sure that we have the right provisions, the right laws, the right policies for all people, because that's important. And we have to pay attention to who we are putting in place in order to get the right policies passed and put into place. So we have to wake up and pay attention. And this is a time for us to wake up and pay attention to who is pushing law, who is pushing policy. So individuals like myself won't be affected by stupid laws like this because we don't need stuff like this in place. And that's the thing. We don't need criminal code intertwined with ed code. This criminal code is in the educational code, which gives the school districts power to arrest. The school districts have the power just to submit your name and barely do any kind of investigation to say you're going to jail and you have to prove yourself in front of a judge. Or trial, like myself, was set for trial for 2.5 years. And you just go through a downward spiral out of control. So we need to pay attention because it's happening, and it's happening in areas not just with truancy, where school districts are making parents responsible for their children's actions. So let me make this perfectly clear. Whether it's truancy or your child is messing up, fighting, stealing, doing things they have no business doing, they're going to hold you responsible. Period. Because there has been cases this year where kids was messing up in school. They did a school shooting, and the school held the parents responsible for the murders that their child did. So now the parents is being held in prison because of the mass school shooting that their child did. So pay attention. So it may not be as dramatic as the mass shooting. It may not be truancy, but it can be somewhere in between, and they're going to still hold you accountable. They're still going to hold you criminally accountable for your child's actions. So if your child has behavioral issues and they messing up and they hit that teacher or threw some stuff across the room or hit another kid, and now that kid is bruised up and that parent decided to do a police report, they're going to hold you responsible too, not just the child. It's not just the child anymore. It's also that parent. So I need you guys to wake up and pay attention, know the law, see how it's intertwined in other codes that can get us all caught up. Because a lot of it, if you receive food stamps or any kind of cash aid from your state, there are provisions in place for attendance. You may have to turn in a report card. So it's intertwined within the system when it comes to attendance, when it comes to being held criminally or being responsible for your child, but they're going to hold you criminally responsible, and not just for truancy. It's anything in between. If it's criminal, if they feel like you're causing harm or your child is causing harm to another, they will hold the parent responsible.
That's that's insane, man. That's I don't even know what to say about that. But for like even in New York, it seemed like the people who's making these crazy laws where the kids don't need the parents' permission to get certain procedures and stuff like that, these people don't have children. I think it's a war against people who have kids. Like this place has become so bizarre with some of the things that they deciding to do. Nothing else makes sense. Nothing else makes sense. And like I said, when I first heard your story, um, I was taken aback. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I did everything in my power. I cold called you. I got everything in my power to try to figure out who you were, how can I help you. And we got some things in the pipeline. We don't have to name them there, but we got some good things. No matter what happened this election, we got some good things, coming down the pipeline. Shout out to Maha Alliance. Shout out to Del Bigtree. Shout out to Jimmy. Shout out to Bridget. And those folks over there. Shout out to Shawnee. Those folks over there, they did the right thing in Georgia. They got a commercial with you that's going to be dropping soon. And we got some things that's going to be in the pipeline. And shout out to everyone else who is helping you. Joel, Mr. Stone, and those people. And this is not about. I want to make this clear because I took a big. There was a lot of criticism on the internet when I posted the picture of us with Trump. It's not a Trump endorsement. Um, this is we just want to get the right thing. We want to do the right thing and get her story out there. And whoever's go listen to help get her story out there, to help donate to her GoFundMe, which we get into in a second. And and help her out because she's still facing the consequences of that arrest, right? There's things that she's still dealing with, and her daughter caught the stroke, and she's still dealing with implications from that today, which is affecting Miss Peoples' livelihood, her day-to-day life for her own situation. And we just gotta support this sister. Kamala didn't do the right thing. She didn't support. The only thing she needed to do was apologize and make it right. Make it right, something simple. She could have took 5 minutes to do that. But, Trump said he gonna make it right. So, that's our only option right now because it seems as if Kamala don't want to make it right. Um, any last thing you want to leave the people with?
I just want them to truly understand and research your own state because each state is different. Not every state is like California, but there could be different provisions in your state. And if so, just educate yourself. Make sure that you get all documents in place, whether it's a 504 or IEP. Both of those documentations is really good for your child if they need it. You have to request it from the doctors and make sure you're in full communication with the school and the doctors. So just be aware of what is going on right now and just understand your power as a parent because we do have power. We do have um, things that we can do to help our children succeed and to be successful despite anything. So I just want people to do the right thing. Just do the right thing. So I really appreciate you for allowing me to tell my story on how this policy has traumatically impacted my life, changed my life trajectory, and really impacted my daughter's life. It hasn't been the easiest. This has been since 2013, but these past 11 years has been one crazy ride.
Could you tell them about your GoFundMe?
Yes, my GoFundMe is, oh goodness, I can always be forgetting
Well,
the
it's in
name.
the it's in the comments. No matter where you watching this video at, I mean, it's in the description of the video, so you could click on the link to
So
donate
it's
to her
Help Miss
GoFundMe.
Peoples and Shayla's Journey is the name of it. It's Help Miss Peoples and Shayla Journey. So we can continue living in our home. We are always at risk at being homeless to this day because of all the time that my daughter spends in the hospital. I cannot work while she's in the hospital because she is my client. So it makes it tremendously difficult at times to be able to just make basic necessities meet up because of the amount of time that she spent in the hospital. Like in 1 year, we were told she spent 200 days in the hospital, and that's just in and out, wasn't consecutively. But the infections, the pain crisis, the blood transfusions, it's a lot because infections is the number one killer when it comes to sickle cell. So anytime she has a fever of 100.1, that's automatically going to the hospital trying to figure it out. So please, please donate. It's very, very much appreciated for me and my family because yeah, we were on the verge of eviction here. So with this fundraiser has really been able to save us with that right now. And we'll be able to move forward to get other things that my daughter needs, like a really good medical power chair and just to be able for her to have some kind of life outside of the hospital. So it's very, very important and it's been very helpful throughout this journey. So thank you so much, Terrell. I really appreciate you.
No problem. Once again, thanks for sharing your story. Like I said, you guys could donate to her GoFundMe. It's in the description of the video, no matter which platform you're watching on. Please make sure to share out this story. This story is so important to hear. I'm quite sure there's others who was affected by this truancy law, and they all deserve um, some type of apology and to a fix to what happened to them. But definitely make sure to tap into Cheree's GoFundMe. It's in the description of the video. Share it out, like, share, subscribe to the channel.